Hey everyone, and welcome into a new edition of the Mental Game Podcast. I'm Sam Brief, joining you from the home studio here in Chicago, and we've got part 2 today with 7-year NFL veteran Jerry Azumah. Now, Zoom, I quickly realized, was going to be at least a 2-part episode. I mean, we had already logged about 30 minutes of recording time, and we had only gotten to his first week in the NFL during part 1. If you missed that, link is in the description of this episode. And it's really fascinating because what we went over was how he was one of the best running backs in NCAA history at the University of New Hampshire. But when the NFL draft came calling and the Chicago Bears took him in the 5th round, it wasn't even as a running back. No, it was as a defensive back. So a guy who made his bread and butter in college running forward suddenly had to run backward and play defense. And he had to adjust his body, his mind, everything. That was all in part 1. Now in part 2, we dive into what the NFL's like once it starts to click. Once you feel like you know what you're doing, how do you excel in the NFL? How do you stick in the NFL? In an industry where the average career is just over 3 years, how do you play 7 like Azumah? So part 2 with Jerry Azumah, it's going to teach you a lot about how to focus, about how to balance emotions, and how to become a smarter football watcher. Because if you're anything like me, you definitely will be one of those this fall. So, Jerry Azumah, the former Chicago Bear, the current NFL media analyst on CHSN, and today the guest on the Mental Game Podcast. It's coming up in 3, 2, 1. After a riveting part 1 with Jerry Azumah, it's time for part 2. Welcome back, Zoom.
How you guys doing? How's everything?
So good, so good. Tell me how you're doing. We're recording here in late August. Kids going back to school. Weather's starting to turn just a little bit. So how is Zoom doing this summer?
Zoom is doing well. You know, the kids are back to school, so they were super excited to be going back. They started up in a new school, and they're in some Spanish gifted program. So they're super excited to be around new friends, new teachers, new environment. And then with me, I mean, the Chicago Bears football season is about to start soon. So I'm getting very excited for the future of the Bears.
Your kids are a marvel. They are, quote, very excited to go back to school. I don't know when I was 8 years old if I was very excited for summer to end. So those kids are going somewhere. I'm buying stock.
I hope so. I mean, they're dynamic kids right now, but they're kids and they're just having a great time, and they had a fantastic summer. So they're eager to get learning with school.
All right, well, get learning. We'll get podcasting. I know for their dad, this time of year, like you alluded to, with football starting soon, is a great time of year. And we're recording right now, August 27th, one day removed from when NFL teams set their final 53-man rosters, made those final cuts. Mm-hmm. So something that you, Zoom, at the beginning of your career, I'm sure, were sweating a little bit, and then you get your feet under you, and suddenly you're a grizzled veteran. So let's cover the beginning of that. Your feet are under you. Take me through when you really felt like you were starting to click.
You know, my first year was a learning year for me. Obviously, the hardest things that I had to transition to was, you know, running backwards and just learning how the defense just kind of worked. I had a sense of what was going to happen, obviously, because I was on the offensive side of the ball and I knew how to attack a defense, but I never looked at it from the defensive perspective. So after a year under my belt, I started to feel really comfortable with my skills. And then now it was just basically about getting technique. Like I said, I was brand new at this position, so it was just about learning technique and just kind of fine-tuning that technique and really understanding the defense and where I fit into that defense. So as I started to progress, you know, the team started to have some success as well. And I was on an incredible defense, like I said before. I mean, some of the players that I got to play with are just some of my closest friends that I have now, but just incredible athletes on the football field. So after my first year, after getting my feet wet, I started to say, you know what, I can go out there and I can make some plays and I can play extremely fast. And I'm playing on a very aggressive defense, which I like, you know, because I'm an aggressive type of guy. And I just got right into it, and we just started to click, and things started to happen, and it felt good. It felt like, all right, this is what I am. I'm a defensive back. I'm not a running back anymore, and this is the direction that I'm headed towards right now.
That phrase of it starting to click, like, what does that feel like? A lot of us, whatever you do, whether it's play professional football or maybe you're a teacher or a banker, I don't know. But once you learn a new skill, at a certain point, you feel like you know it and you feel like it's clicking. So what internally does that feel like for you as a football player?
Well, as a football player, for me, it's all about slowing things down. I mean, the NFL is extremely fast. And things happen in a split second. So if you're able to kind of slow the game down and figure out what they're trying to do to you, from an offensive standpoint, then you can actually go out there and play fast and make plays. So it was all about just kind of figuring out my technique and learning what I can do with my body. Two is learning the defense and how it really works and what we're trying to do to attack it. And three, trying to recognize what they're trying to do to us, slow that down so that I can really see it, and then I can react real fast to it and try to make plays. So I would say after the first year, the clicking started to happen where I'm like, oh, this is what the motion is. Oh, this is what the pulling guards means, and this is how I fit in this certain situation. So I was able to slow the game down and play a lot faster. So that's what I mean by making it click.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of that happens from just experience, right? Like there's the Malcolm Gladwell thing of you do 10,000 hours of anything and suddenly you become a master. But you can't just go on autopilot. And Zoom, I've heard you say in interviews before that one of the surprises of the NFL is that the amount of time spent looking at a screen and studying the film actually dwarfs the amount of time running around and banging bodies on the practice field. So how does that focused work in the film room help you to do the slowing down thing?
Right. Well, so coming from, an offensive background, I didn't really know how to see the defense the way that all the defensive backs in that room saw it all their life because they played defensive back. So I had to do a lot more exercises with my coaches and actually with the teammates that wanted to get some extra work and just kind of learning how to watch film and what to look for as a defensive back. Like I said, I knew what I was looking for as an offensive person, but as a defensive person, I didn't know those little specific details and just repetition, obviously, on the football field, and then a lot of repetition with the weight room. I mean, not with the weight room, but with the classroom, kind of allowed me to really, I focused in and it allowed me to slow the game down. So the more you see it, the better off you'll be. And the film room was like the room that I spent the most time in because I needed to know exactly what defenses were trying to do to attack me and how I could combat that. So I spent a lot of hours in the room with the head coach, the defensive coordinators, pretty much everyone that could pretty much help me see it from that perspective. They helped, and we spent a lot of time in those rooms for sure.
I think there's a great lesson in that. Like we need to give ourselves sometimes permission to go back and be a student. Like, I mean, people look at NFL players and they see these millionaires, running around and looking great and putting up great stats. But what they don't see is that work in the film room. Like you're going essentially back to school, right? So I feel like I don't really know what the film room looks like. I mean, I've never been in an NFL film session. So take me behind the scenes, Zoom. Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Who's there? What are we looking at? What are we studying?
Right.
Come on.
So like when I tell people I'm going to practice, they're like, well, people assume that, all right, you're just going to practice. But I tell people I'm going to work. And they don't understand like what the work day looks like from an NFL perspective. So I give them a rundown of what it looks like. So I wake up early in the morning and I get to, Hallis Hall by about 6:15, 6:30, and then from there I'll do like a little bit of treatment and I'll get in the weight room and lift a little bit. And then we go right into our meetings, and our meetings will last for about 4 hours because they're broken down from special teams meetings to team meeting to offensive defensive meetings. and then broken all the way down to our position meetings. So we're doing a lot of different meetings leading up to practice, walkthroughs, and then practice, and then downtime, and then probably some weight room treatment, things like that again, and then back to the meeting rooms, and then you're out the door by like 4:30, 5 o'clock, sometimes 6 o'clock. So it's a full day of just football, but most of the time you're in there and you're just studying film. So you're right. It's like being a student again. You're in a classroom, you have your coaches around, obviously the players are around, and we're just having just discussions about what we're implementing for our game plan and how we plan to attack a certain offense that we're playing for that weekend. So it's a lot of preparation that gets thrown at you, and you have to be, locked in mentally, because if you're not, then everything is out of sync. And when we go out there and we walk through it, of course we're going to mess up and things like that, but these guys are sharp. I mean, I've been around a lot of professionals that just really know how to study and critique what they're studying, and then go out there and implement the game plan and really do it at a high level. So, but all that stuff does take some time, but every day you just have to kind of work at it. And that's what we did. So we knew that once we got into the meeting room, like this was our room, and we're trying to figure out pretty much problems. We're trying to solve problems. And it brings everybody together, the coaching staff and everyone. And we just spent a lot of time just kind of breaking down the simplest things just so that we can just play fast, and that's what it is. It's about throwing everything that they possibly can at us so that we just know, so we can understand it, see it, process it, and then just react and play as fast as possible. So that's what it's basically like. But the day of an NFL player, it's a very long day.
It sounds like a corporate job, right? Like it's a 9-to-5 job where you spend most of the day in meetings, breaking down and solving problems. Like that's the most corporate crap I've heard in a good way. But it just, I think it's hilarious because the simple mind would think that the NFL workday is just you show up and you play football for like 8 hours and practice some things and then go home and return to your family. But this sounds pretty corporate.
Yeah, I mean, we're some of the smartest guys, out there. If you looked at the offensive side of the playbook, I mean, the length of these plays are like 10 words sometimes, and they just go on and on and on, and you have to know everything, and you have seconds to just basically react to it, and then run the play, and then try to be as effective and efficient as possible. And that's the same thing that we're doing on the defensive side. Obviously the offense has an edge, and we're playing at a small disadvantage, but we don't care about that. Like, we try to force the issue right away. With all the defenses that I played on, we've been extremely aggressive, and we're trying to dictate what we want to dictate to you. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to force the action. We don't want to wait and figure out what you're trying to do. We're going to make you react to us. So I played on defenses that had a lot of blitzes, and sometimes when you're in a blitz and they motion over to a certain situation, it will get you out of that blitz, and then we'll run the blitz from a different side. So you have to be in tune with not only what you did in practice and in the film room, but also guys on your team. You got to be able to look at a guy to the right of you or to the left of you and know exactly what they're going to do. And then that will let you play also faster because you can kind of adjust off of what they do as well. It's a lot that goes into it.
So much of the battle, it sounds like, is just staying mentally sharp. And I know the people you surround yourself with play a big role in that. And I look at, the defenses you were a part of with the Bears in the early 2000s. You have guys like Brian Urlacher, like Mike Brown, R.W. McQuarters. I mean, Peanut Tillman. These were some of the great defenses in modern NFL history. So what role did some of those great minds and great coaches play in the mental development of Jerry Azumah?
So I got real close to a lot of players. Obviously, I was close to the coach because I've never played this position. I was like right next to the coach all the time. But there's a common goal, as a defense. And that defense, that common goal is to try to be the best defense that we possibly can be. And the only way that we're going to do that is if we have a connection, if we're bonded, you know what I'm saying? If we're all on the same page. So we would spend a lot of time outside of football, outside of those doors of Hallis Hall, just kind of talking about football and talking about, talking about practice or talking about certain games. We'd watch Monday Night Football.
Sorry, just because you said I can't listen to someone say talking about practice without just ripping it quick. We talking about practice, man. And now back to the regularly scheduled programming. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but you have to.
Yeah, so, we talking about practice. So, so Monday Night Football games, Thursday Night Football games, Sunday Night Football games, we're constantly talking about football, and we're talking about the opponents that we see and the things that we see and how we can possibly implement our game plan against them, especially if they're coming up, in a part of the season where we know that we're going to face them. We want to try to get an edge as much as possible. And that's what it's about. It's about gaining some type of an edge. And the only way that you can do that is if you're really bonded together and if you guys are really on the same page. And for the most part, when I played against a lot of great opponents and we had great defenses that I've been a part of, we've been on the same page, and you can just see it out there. You can just see us just kind of feeding off of each other and going out there and making plays. And that's essentially what it's all about.
Of course, the bulk of your time is spent on these days we're talking about practicing, film room, dissecting it, planning, the mental side of it. But at the end of the day, your contracts are paid and your reputation is made on Sunday. Or Monday or Thursday or Friday or whatever day they play these days. But really on Sunday, right? So the games are what matter. I want to go towards the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
What did you feel like the night before a game? A Saturday night, you're in the hotel in whatever city or at home in Chicago, and you are playing an NFL game the next day. What does that feel like?
I mean, excitement. This is what we do, and this is what I've been doing for a long time. So I know how to play the game of football, but it's all excitement and anxiousness. The nervousness part has just, it's never really crept in. It's always been about, let's go out there and let's execute and let's have a good time and let's do what we do. We are football players, So it's funny because I tell my son when he's on the football field, I'm like, you're no longer a kid. You're a football player now. And that's essentially what we are. We are football players. So when we're out there, we're living and breathing and doing everything football related. But the night before, it's all about just staying laser focused and staying as sharp as possible, going over your assignments, talking and communicating with the people that are around you, your teammates, your coaches, and things like that. And then going out there and just trying to make plays. And like I said, it's this what we do. So we want to have fun doing it. But I want to bring it back real quick to talk about a little bit about being focused. It's really, for us, we try to be as focused as possible, but sometimes that's hard because we're playing a super physical, fast sport, and that gets lost sometimes. So you have to realize that we only have a couple of seconds where the huddle gets broken and the offense comes out and they get into a formation, and then we instantly have to recognize it from the huddle. So I'm looking at the huddle breaks. I'm looking at who I need to cover. I go to that side. I set the strength. The defense kind of adjusts off of me. And these are things that are happening in real time, and it's happening super quick. And then all of a sudden, we'll try to disguise, a coverage. And then we'll disguise another coverage, and then we might see motion. So we might have to come out of that coverage to cover the motion, stay on side. There's a lot of different little things that happen pre-snap, and it's a small game of chess. And then once they snap the ball, you try to slow it down as much as possible and then just react. Now it's just you're reacting to certain things. You don't even have time to think. It's once you get into this position and you understand what defense you're trying to run, and they say hut, and everybody's moving, you're just reacting to what you see. And the reaction is extremely fast, but those are the things that we try to practice and try to slow down. So the fact that you have to stay super focused and mentally sharp is so important, especially when you're super tired. It's the fourth quarter. Your body might be dragging a little bit. You're tired just like everyone else is. They're driving on you. You know what I'm saying? you have all this stuff that's weighing you down, but you still have to stay mentally sharp and prepared for what's going to happen next. And those times could be a little tricky because you want to get out of that focus just to try to catch your breath, because the game of football is really tough and it's really physical, but you have to rely on your training, to get your body mentally to where physically to where it is. And then mentally, you have to try to stay as clear as possible, especially later on in the football game.
How do you stay so focused, though? I mean, it sounds like an impossible task, right? There's all these things happening so quickly. The pressure is so high. There are so many things you need to remember. Your body is screaming at you.
Right.
How do you stay focused?
It's difficult. It's not easy, and there's only a handful of people on this earth that are professionals at doing that stuff. So for me, it was I always just try to stay as much in focus as possible and not worry about the physical aspect of it. I train my body extremely hard so that I can kind of I can be comfortable being uncomfortable, so to speak. And that's kind of what you get to in the fourth quarter. Everybody's uncomfortable in the fourth quarter. Everybody's dragging a little bit. Everybody's extremely tired, but we're still going as hard as possible because we know that the game is on the line, because NFL games come down to the fourth quarter, most of them. And this is the time where you have to be your sharpest. This is where you have to be as focused as possible. This is the time where you have to look at, your brother that's to the right or to the left of you, and you might have to pick him up a little bit and let him understand that, like, wait a minute, it's the fourth quarter. Like, we got to get this thing going. We need extra from you. Even though, sometimes you can't produce that extra, we still need more. And we are the guys that can just do that. We've prepared ourselves, we prepared our bodies, and we prepared our minds to go through the rigors of the football game. And, usually, in the fourth quarter, yes, you're huffing and puffing and it's tight and you're trying to stay mentally sharp. But once you make a play, it's like a rejuvenation. It's like you're not tired anymore. You want to be able to go out there and make another play. And that stuff gets very contagious as well. So some of the defenses that I played on, we've been extremely great at like creating pressure and taking the ball away. Like that's been our thing, is taking the ball away, and it becomes contagious. You want to be the next person to go out there and make a play. And the only way that you can do that is if you're moving extremely fast, and playing at a high level, and if you're staying mentally sharp. So usually the breakdowns that happen in football are people that are just mentally breaking down, and the people that are mentally the toughest and mentally strong and stay locked in as much as possible are the ones that usually are victorious.
It's so interesting. You're telling me your sole goal, especially late in the game, is just to stay mentally sharp, right? Your body's going to do the work. You've trained your whole life to be one of the top athletes, literally, on planet Earth. So it's just like, hey, I got to stay mentally focused. If I do that, my body will do the rest.
Right. You just got to trust yourself and understand that you've put the work in, So if you put the work in, then obviously you're going to be tired. You're going to be huffing and puffing, but you have to be like, okay, well, I'm in this coverage. I have to make sure that I stay square in my back pedal. I can't let anybody get deep. I got to use my help. Where's my help at? There should be some pressure coming. So maybe I should plant my feet and then maybe I can react. Like all these little things are happening in my head. And once certain formations come and certain situations come, you're just like, I can't even believe that they're about to do this. I've waited all game long for them to run this very specific play. And then that's your chance to just go ahead and make that play. Our coach used to tell us all the time, there's 2 plays as a defensive back that you have to make. And if you do not make those plays, it will change the whole dynamic and outcome of the game. And he's exactly right. If you can make 2 really good, strong plays, then you will have a great chance of winning that game. But if you don't, then you're going to be on SportsCenter. And you're not going to be the good person on SportsCenter also.
It's such a thankless position, right? I mean, it reminds me almost of a ref, right? Where like you might be doing the right thing 98, 99% of the time and no one really notices. But you mess up on that one deep ball down the sideline for a touchdown, SportsCenter.
And that's another thing about staying mentally focused too, is that the guy across from you is a professional athlete too. You know, the guy across from you is T.O. or Randy Moss or Steve Smith or any great wide receiver that Marvin Harrison that's ever played the game. You know, so you're going to get beat sometimes, and you have to be okay with that. You have to have that short-term memory to say, you know what, all right, fine, he was better on me that play, but I also have another play where I can be better than him, and I can get him back, and I can help this team as well. So as a DB, you have to have that short-term memory and understand that they will make some plays, but you just have to make a couple more. And if you do that and everybody collectively does that, then chances are you'll win that football game.
That concept of having a short memory, really easy to say, really hard to execute. So tell me, you get burned once or twice by a Randy Moss or a Steve Smith. How do you have a short memory?
You have to have a short-term memory. Like that's the only thing that you can have. As a DB, you know, you're going against the top wide receivers in the league. You're going against the top tight ends and running backs and quarterbacks. So you're going to get beat, and that's just the part of it. You just have to kind of limit that as much as possible. But when a big play happens, let's say, you know, there's a big pass interference call on you. What the offense usually does is the next play, it's coming right back at you because they're trying to see if you might be a little bit broken, or they might try to take advantage of you because they know that we beat you on that one play. There was a big penalty. We're going to attack you because right now you're the weakest. You probably ran 50 yards down the football field. So they're going to attack you right now. So mentally, you have to be locked in. You have to say to yourself, okay, the next play, I have to make the next play. I don't care how damn tired I am. I don't care how I looked on that last play. The ball is going to be thrown to my side of the field. And you have to say that to yourself. And you have to say, you know what? I'm going to make a play right here and right there. And if they give you the right coverage, you just have to block out all of the stuff that happened in the last play and just focus in on that play that's right in front of you. And that's the only thing that you need to do. Like I said, bad plays are going to happen. It happens to all of us. It happens to everyone in the NFL. Like no one is exempt from that. But you have to have a short-term memory. You have to put it behind you. And you have to be focused on the next play because the next play is the only play that matters. And if you can go out there and you can make a play after a bad play has just happened, then it shows a level of confidence around the team and to yourself and also to the opponent too, that wait a minute, like that was a bad play that he had two plays ago, but that last play, he just made a play. So we have to make sure that we're sharp on our end too. So it's a game of chess out there. It really is. I mean, you have all these small like little battles going on, and at the end of the game, you just look up at the scoreboard to see who won. But you know, like I said, it's all about staying as locked in as possible. Bad things will happen, and you just have to overcome those bad things and just go out there and make plays.
You say at the end of the game, you just look up at the scoreboard and see who won. But you also then have to process. You have to live with and sort through, you know, what the heck just happened. Maybe you had a great game, maybe a bad game, probably some sort of mixed bag. So what kind of processor are you? How do you sort your way through all those emotions of the game?
After the game? Or after the game? So after the game, I just kind of look back to see if we won or lost. So if we won, then I'm not processing much of anything right now. I'm just processing the win, and there's big smiles, and I'm probably drinking a big thing of Gatorade. So I'm not really thinking about football. But if we lose, then it's on my mind constantly, like, damn, like, what could I have done to make it better? Like, let me hurry up and go see the film so that I can get better. It's always about what you can learn, because there's a L in every lesson. So, you know, and shoot, I've gone through my fair share, but you try to learn that lesson, try to figure out exactly what it is that they were doing to try to attack you, that they were successful on, and then try to get better at that. Because look, the next opponent is watching the same film, and they're going to be looking at the little things that the team before them were successful at. So it's a copycat league, and I'm sure that you've heard that term before. And you have to make sure that, okay, whatever happened, or the bad things that happened, you have to correct those things, because you will see it the following week. Like I said, it's a copycat league. You will see it the following week. So you just have to stay as locked in as possible and make those corrections and always strive to get better. You can't just be complacent with where you are because eventually you're going to get caught, you know? So you have to make sure that you're constantly getting better as a pro, whether it's physically getting your body prepared, because that's another component of it too, is that, you know, we go out there and we play a very physical sport. So like sometimes, you know, you might get up and make a tackle and your shoulder might hurt, you know, and you're thinking about your shoulder instead of thinking about the next play, you know, and then quickly you have to say, you know what, all right, I got to push this pain back a little bit. And we've all played in pain. And I got to stay locked in so that they don't score a touchdown and win this football game, because that's the big thing that you don't want to happen. So staying as locked in as possible is a challenge because of all of the little things that happen in playing a physical sport. But you just have to figure out a way to do it, and trust your teammates also, because your teammates will try to protect you as much as possible too.
What role do your emotions play in all this? Because emotions can sometimes help us. They can sometimes hurt us. You don't want to get too happy after a win and not watch the film, but you can't get too down in the dumps. Like, what kind of emotions, guy?
Well, yeah, you just have to be as balanced as possible. I mean, you should go and celebrate the win if you won. And if you lost, you should come back into the workplace and try to reevaluate what you did wrong. Look at all the L's that you did, you know, during that game, and try to correct it, because like I said before, you will see that again the next week. So the process is all about enjoying if you win, or if you lost, like going through that process of like, damn, we lost, you know, and emotions are real, you know, and everybody wants to win, and you put all this preparation, all this work in, and you're unsuccessful at it. It hurts. It stings. You're going to be thinking about it, you know, constantly. Like, and as pros, this is all we do. So we're going to be thinking about it probably a little bit longer than we should. But the next day is a new day, and everybody knows that. And you come into work, and yeah, there might be some guys that are going slow if we lost, but once we get the new game plan in, you know, we're on to the next. It's on to the next person. It's on to the next opponent. It's on to the next challenge, and we can't worry about that. You know, we'll try to correct what we can correct on the move, but the league is always moving forward. You know, it's not moving backwards. It's moving forward. So you have to be ready for your next opponent. And now in these days, this day and age, you know, you get games that are played on, you know, Mondays and Thursdays and Sunday nights, and, you know, now the holidays. And so you're getting a lot of games like within a small period of time. So you have to make sure that you're mentally locked in and focused. And then you have to make sure that you figure out a way to kind of recover your body as well, because that's a huge element of it. I mean, after games, your adrenaline is pumping so much, you don't even realize that you might have rolled your ankle a little bit until the next day. And you're like, oh my goodness, like my ankle's swollen. I need to recover from this because, you know, we played a Monday night game and then we have a game on Sunday. I need to try to recover as fast as possible. I need to get all this game film in as fast as possible, because come Sunday, we have a game and we got to be sharp on that game also. So everybody plays a little bit hurt, and that messes with you mentally because you are constantly thinking about the nagging little injuries. But that's a part of it. I mean, I tell people, there's some people that I know that never played football, and they're just like, how do you recover from all of that stuff? Like, you know that you're hurt and you're still going and you're still doing a violent sport and you're still like kind of hurting yourself doing it. And I'm just like, well, my mind is just kind of built that way to just kind of push pain aside and focus in on what we have to focus in with winning the game, regardless of what it may be. So those are the things that pros do.
It's an incredible skill, pushing pain aside, because
it is.
I mean, we're not talking like I stubbed my toe, I've got to move on kind of pain. I mean, we're talking absolutely excruciating pain.
X-ray stuff. Yes.
Right. I mean, things that everyday people are not dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So the mental fortitude to shove that aside and do your job, it's incredible.
I see it all the time. I mean, guys pop their fingers out, pop a shoulder out, and they just pop it back in, and they just get out there and they play, and they're just mentally just pushing all of that pain back until after the game. But yeah, I mean, we are a very special breed collectively across the league. And we've been doing this for a long time at a high level. So pain is something that is a part of us, and we just kind of know how to manage it as much as possible. But now, if our leg is broken, we're going to have to come out the game. But no one really wants to come out the game. I mean, no one wants to come out the game, no matter how much pain you're in. And that's just kind of how we're wired and how we're built.
I'm thinking about shoving pain aside, and we're talking about it in the physical sense. You bust your ankle and you've got to shove that mentally to the side and move on. I think there's some mental similarities between shoving aside the physical pain and shoving aside emotional pain, right? Do you think there's any sort of part of your brain you're training to deal with emotions in a different way too?
For me, it's all about balance. I can't get too high. I can't get too low. I've made extremely incredible plays where it's changed the whole outcome of a football game. And I've been high for a second, but I'm just like, wait a minute, we still have a lot more football left. And I have to stay locked in because this is a really good team that we're playing against. They have all pros that are across from us that can change the complexity of a game instantly. So I can't worry about the pick that I got or the forced fumble that I recovered. You come to the sideline, we get together as a group after a big time play or after something bad happened, and we go out there and we just try to execute and make it happen again. So we try to maintain a type of balance. You can't get extremely too high and you can't get super low too when somebody torches you for a touchdown or you just couldn't stop a 97-yard drive for 17 plays. That it takes a little toll on you. You come to the sideline, you try to regroup, and you go back out there. So try to maintain a balance is what you want to do. You can't get too high, you can't get too low, but just emotionally, you want it to stay as balanced and as level as possible.
Balance, staying level, that's valuable for anyone. And Zoom, I think I'm never playing in the NFL. That's my expectation. And most listeners to this podcast will never play in the NFL, but a lot of us, me included, will watch football, a lot of it this season, college, pro, whatever it is. So I'm thinking about how some of these lessons might make me or any listener to this podcast a smarter viewer of football. We all scream at the TV and root for our fantasy teams.
We don't.
But how can understanding the perspective of what someone like you goes through on a day in, day out basis make me a smarter football watcher?
Make you a smarter football watcher.
Make me smart.
Make you smart. It's funny because I'll talk to my wife about it and she's like, all I do is just watch the football. And she's like, what do you watch? And I'm like, I watch everything but the football. And she's like, well, how do you do that? So I try to explain it and break it down to her that, like, obviously I was a defensive back, so I'm looking at the wide receivers. I'm looking at the secondary. I'm looking at the formation that the offense is in. I'm looking at any type of motion or any type of shifts that are happening. I'm looking at, and I'm calling all of this stuff out, stuff that she probably just is oblivious to even think about because she's just ready for the ball to be snapped so that she can just watch the ball. So I'm telling her all the little things that I would be looking for if I was out there on the football field. And now she starts to understand that, like, oh, okay, well, there's a lot to this game than what I just see with just watching the football. And that's what I try to teach people that want to know a little bit more is that, okay, if you watching me, I'm going to teach you a little bit about coverages. I'm going to teach you about high-low principles. I'm going to teach you about zone dogs. I'm going to teach you about man-to-man. I'm going to teach you about all these like little things that are happening pre-snap, before the snap even happens, and then after the snap with down and distance and where they are on the football field, what could be coming up next. So just trying to get people to start thinking like a football player instead of like just a regular spectator or a regular fan. So that's always been a joy of mine is watching football with someone that is not as educated with football, or they might think they are until we start to like really break down the pre-snap coverages and a breakdown of the whole game overall.
And also thinking about what you talk about with how your number one goal on the field is to try to stay mentally focused.
Right.
Okay, you see a guy get beat down the sideline on a 90-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. It might not even be that he's too slow or that he misread the play. Like, he just might not be focused.
Right.
That might be his only shortcoming.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Chicago Bears last year when they lost to Washington in the Hail Mary, I mean, there were people that were on that field that were not focused. You know, they just and you saw the outcome. Like they lost a incredible game that they should have won, and then from there it spiraled the whole team out of control, basically. You know, throughout the whole season. So those things are real. Those things can happen, and we've talked about that, you know, a lot over a large span of time. So it's all about staying as locked in as possible. And football players, it's a tough thing to do. I mean, you play a physical sport, you get hit. You know what I'm saying? You get beat up. But you have to stay as locked in as possible and understand that, like, every play, even though it doesn't work out in your favor, the next play, you got to stay as locked in to make a play to put things back in perspective.
Stay locked in. Jerry Azumah, you make me smarter every single day. And I can't thank you enough for coming back on the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Brief. I appreciate it.
Thanks for making us smarter. I'm going to leave you with this, though, because we are kind of on the eve of the NFL season starting. How many games are the Chicago Bears going to win this year?
Ooh, oh, my goodness. So this is a team that lost 10 straight games last year, right? So, like, let's put that into perspective. There are a lot of sweeping changes that have been made. Obviously, Ben Johnson, we went out there and tried to get the best guy that we possibly can to run this football team. Our offensive coordinators have some history and some experience, especially on the defensive side with Allen. We got a whole new offensive interior line that's been built for Caleb because Caleb got sacked over 60-something times last year. The defensive line has been beefed up a little bit. The defensive backs have been beefed up a little bit as well. So there's a lot of moving parts with this team that's brand new that just came together, you know, in the offseason. So they've done a lot of work. With all that said, I would say if the Bears win 8 games this year, I think that's realistic. I think it's credible. I think it's a step into the right direction. And it builds up hype and momentum for the next year.
8 wins would be awesome. It'd be the most for the Bears since 2020. Right? I look at last 4 years, 6-3-7-5 with a 10-game losing streak in the middle.
10-game losing streak, yeah.
8 would be nice. You know, let's not talk Super Bowl. Let's not even talk playoffs right now.
No, none of that.
Playoffs? Let me talk about playoffs. No, we're talking 8 wins.
That's right.
That's what Zoom is telling us, and I always listen to Jerry Azumah. So to you at home, thank you for listening to Jerry Azumah, and to you, Jerry, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate you.
You're the man. And back here in the studio now, yeah, I think 8 wins will pretty much get the job done for the Bears. If you're in Chicago, just remember, it's not Super Bowl or bust. I always listen to Coach Zoom. And if you listened to Coach Zoom, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today, and I really hope you learned a lot. I mean, I know I did. I think it's fascinating, the similarities between shoving aside the pain of, say, a sprained ankle and the pain of maybe losing someone you love or losing your job or just struggling with the monotony of a particular week. It's really, really interesting. And how about the similarities between the life of an NFL player and the life of a corporate worker in America? So much interesting insight from Zoom. In part 3, I'm sure we'll cover some more from the transition out of the NFL to some of the work he's doing now in the media. But for now, I want to thank you for listening to part 2. Thank you for being a part of the Mental Game family. I'll always try to do my very best for you. A reminder, as I always do, to take care of yourself, take care of others. I will talk to you next time. This is Sam Brief signing off from the Mental Game Podcast.